Hello students, class 6th. Today we will be discussing the next chapter, that is your second chapter, and in this chapter we will be discussing the detail how the mountains are formed, what are the different layers of earth. We will be naming them, we will be discussing about them, the crust, mantle and core. Then we will be discussing about the endogenous and the exogenous forces which are responsible for the mountain formation. Then we will be discussing about the types of mountains, and rest we will be discussing in the next video. And you should know that in India it is not that India is having a particular relief feature. While India is having different relief features, mountains are here, plateaus are also here, even the plains are here, and coastal areas are also present in India. So we have to discuss about all these features, the physical features of India we have to discuss in detail, and this is the very first part of this chapter. We will be discussing it in detail. So see the video for further details. So starting with the next chapter, that is landforms of the earth. First of all, we will be discussing the three main layers of the earth. The very first one is the crust, which is the outermost layer. Then comes the mantle and then comes the core. This is the hottest one and it is having the magma inside it. It is in the molten form. Okay, so these are the three layers of earth. Next, we will be talking about the earth surface. As you know, our earth surface is having 71% of the water, and the water areas are known as oceans and seas, while on the other hand we have only 29% of the area which is of land masses. Land masses cover only 29% of the area, and land masses are known as continents. The continents are not, so you can say, they are blessed with different beautiful landforms. They are not having the single feature, while they are having different types of features, like mountains are there, plateaus are there, hills are there, plains are there, and many other things like islands, etc. are also present over there. So now we will be discussing about the forces that shape the earth's surface. The forces which shape the Earth's surface are of two types. The very first one is the endogenous processes, and the second one is your exogenous. As the name states, endogenous means within the Earth's surface. The movement of the tectonic plates, etc. It comes under endogenous things. So these are the large scale processes, and they create the relief features. While on the other hand, when we talk about the exogenous processes, they are continuous and also the localized processes. Although they are continuous, but they are localized, so they can just modify or change the relief feature, they can't create it. They are also known as gradational processes. The next we will be moving towards endogenous forces. As I have told you, the internal forces. The very first one is tectonic processes, the movement of the tectonic plates, you can say. It is also known as dystrophism. Dystrophism. So it is about the movement of the tectonic plates, faulting and folding. There are two types of processes, faulting and folding. Due to the process of faulting, rift valleys and block mountains are formed. This we have discussed also. The block mountains we have discussed, there we have discussed about the faulting also. Then comes your folding. When we fold something, the fold mountains are formed. Like if I push it like this way, so this creates the fold mountains. So this is folding. Anticline and synclines are there. This also we have discussed. Now we will be talking about the igneous processes. The volcanic activities, the volcano is responsible for the formation of volcanic mountains, lava plains and plateaus also. The lava plateaus here, these are the lava plateaus are talked about over here. So volcanic activities are responsible for volcanic mountains, lava plains and plateau formation. Another type of forces which we were talking about are your exogenous forces. They are of two types. Then again, degradation and aggradation. When we are talking about degradation, degradation means breaking down of something, withering of the rocks, the mechanical process, and also the chemical process. So withering of the rock by the sun, plants, animals, or the other chemicals, it is known as withering. Okay, many types of rocks are withered away. The second one is your erosion. Erosion is when the soil or the landmass sometimes it gets distorted and it is eroded with the river, water, ocean, wind, glaciers. Anything can be responsible for the erosion. It is basically the transportation. The land from that side, the silt, the mud, whatever is present is moved with the flow of water, wind, glaciers, oceans, etc. The second is your aggradation. Aggradation is building up. Like you can say the rivers, ocean, they bring along them the silt, the mud is coming along them. The gravels are also coming, sometimes small particles. So all these they deposit somewhere, like the deltas are formed. All these things are aggradation. Next is the very first feature which we have to discuss is our mountains. The very first one is our mountains. So mountains, they are the landforms, but the height is very high. I mean to say the areas, the landforms which rise to several hundred meters above the surrounding land. The surrounding land is low. So they are known as mountains. When the mountains are of less than 600 meters in height, they are known as hills. Then we will be talking about the peaks and the ridges. The ridges are the long continuous high elevated area. It is narrow top of the mountain, but the peaks, they are the sharply pointed tips of the mountains. So these are the ridges like this. The slope is also present over here, but these high tips which are sharply pointed are known as peaks. Now we will be talking about mountain range, a long line of mountains that are connected together to form the mountain range. Many mountains joining together, a line is formed like this. A line is formed, this is known as the mountain range. When different mountain ranges, they should be parallel mountain ranges, they are forming a chain that is known as the mountain chain. So Himalayas, Alps, Rockies, Andes, all these are the mountain chains. We will be discussing the three types of mountains which are in your syllabus. The very first one is your fold mountains, second one is your block mountains, and third one is your volcanic mountains. We have got a basic idea when we were studying the endogenous and exogenous forces. So now we will be discussing it in detail. The very first one is your fold mountains. When we talk about the fold mountains, we should keep in mind that it is due to the tectonic plate movement. The tectonic plate movements, they move towards each other, the convergent forces are acting, and the land is squeezed and thrown upwards. It is thrown upwards, which results in the mountains, in the fold mountains. The series is formed, and that series is known as the series of the fold mountains. They can be young. Young means they are of recent origin, and they can also be the old mountains. So in India, the Himalayas are the young fold mountains and the Aravallis are the old fold mountains. Now we will be discussing their differences. Starting with the young fold mountains, they are steep and they have high peaks. Well, they are young, so they are having steep and high peaks. While on the other hand, the old fold mountains, they are worn down into hills and they are shorter because the other forces have acted on them from the long times. And the young fold mountains are about 10 to 12 million years old, while the old fold mountains are 2000 million years old. The young fold mountains appear very rugged, while the other one, they are very much rounded in appearance. The sharp peaks are seen in young fold mountains and the flatter tops are there in old fold mountains. The few signs of erosion are there in young fold mountains because they are very young in origin, while the other one, they show many signs of erosion as per their age. The mountains such as Alps, Andes, all are young fold, while the Ural mountains and Appalachians are old. Moving towards the volcanic mountains, we will be discussing first of all what are volcanoes. Volcanoes, these are the openings in the earth's crust through which the magma or the hot molten rock comes out, and that is in the form of lava. The hot magma which is flowing outside, oozing out, it is known as oozing out of what? Of earth's surface, it is known as lava. Huge amount of lava or ash and dust also comes out, and all these thrown out by the volcanic eruptions often solidifies into the massive cone shaped structure known as the volcanic mountains. So these are volcanic mountains which are formed after the volcanic eruptions. Then is your example. The very first one is
Very first thing
Mount
is the magma reservoir.
Fujiyama. It is in Japan.
It is
The
present
next
deep
is your
inside
Mount
the earth
Kilimanjaro.
where
It is
magma
in
is
East
present,
Africa. The
and it
next
is a
is
collection
your
of magma.
Mount
Second is your
Vesuvius. It is in
conduit
Italy,
or
and
the pipe
very
from
important,
which the magma rises
only
up
active
and comes
volcano
out.
in mainland
Next is
Europe.
vent. It is the opening which is present
The
on the
next we
earth's
have to
surface through which
discuss
the
is
magma
the
is
structure
oozing
of the
out.
volcano. We will be
Crater is a
discussing it in detail.
bowl-shaped structured
What is a
or depression which
volcano
is
and
formed due to the
how it
volcanic
looks like.
activity. And the vent is also present. It is located at the center. It is within the crater. It can be in the center, it can be to the side of it also. So it is present within the crater. Next is your lava flow. When the streams of the lava they come out of the mountain, they come sometimes from the sides of the mountain also. So they are the lava flows. You can see this with the help of this picture. You can see the main vent. You can see that is the pipe, that is the conduit, the main vent, and then the magma chamber, the reservoir, the crater, and the vent is also present within it. The lava flow, you can see ashes, you can see ash cloud is also formed when the eruption is there. Secondary vents are those vents which they diverge from main vent. So all these are the parts of volcano.
Moving towards the block mountains, the very first thing is that the block mountains are formed because of the faulting. They are formed because of the faulting, and the faults are created. Faults are the parallel cracks which are occurring in the earth's crust, and the process by which they are formed are known as faulting. The process is known as faulting. So Rift Valley or the graben is the area of land which sinks down. The valley is formed when it sinks down, while the block mountains or the horst, it is known as horst. So it is the elevated part, the part which of the land which is pushed up, that is known as your block mountains. So here we are having the different mountain names which are the block mountains. Example of the block mountains, the very first one is the Black Forest Mountains in Europe. Second is the Vindhya range in India. Third is the Sierra Nevada range in North America. Fourth one is your the Vosges range, Vosges mountains in France. Next are your Harz mountains in Germany. You can learn any two names, two examples you have to learn of these mountains. And a very important thing that the main characteristic of these block mountains are that they are characterized by their massive size and steep slopes. The slopes are very steep, and the size of these mountains, they are having a very massive size. So this was all about the mountains, and next all the other parts, the other relief features will be discussed in the next video.